Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show. Look, Curtis ran his mouth. Y'all. Y'all know how they go. Somebody can't hold water. He trying to come up. Miss Cynthia looks good, you know what I'm saying? She got that little nursing outfit on, fitting all tight and snug, and all these different types of things, you know, wearing his favorite color, pink, all of those type of stuff, you know. So he says a little too much. And she, out of her jealousy, out of Cynthia and Big 50's situation, she calls Big 50. She tells him, but hold up, wait a minute, y'all. The phone is on tap. They know this. You feel what I'm saying? They know. They're listening to everything that he says. And she tells him that Curtis says that Cynthia is his cousin. Not just a friend of his sister's, but his cousin. That sent shockwaves through her supervisor and the other people that were listening in that room. So now the conversation is being had. She don't even know it because she's at work. That they got to make the move now and pull her from the facility because she may be in danger. So they call the warden. And the warden replaces her, pulls her out. They pull her out. And they bring her down front. And when they get her down front, the warden hands her the phone. It's her supervisor on the phone, and she says, I need you to listen to something. He plays back the tape of Big 50 and the nurse talking. And she's telling him that her cousin has blown her cover. She sits there, she puts her head down, and she said, I told him to keep his mouth shut. She looks up at the warden. The warden's already been told. She looks up at the warden and says, what do we do now? And the warden said, you got to go. That's it. We're making a move now. She said, you're making the move now? She said, but my cousin. He said, we got somebody on the way to the infirmary right now to get him out of here too. He's going to be turned over to federal custody. And she says, thank you, warden. She stands up, walks out his office, goes to the parking lot. But on her way out, she sees this nurse. And as she's walking to the car, the nurse says, oh, I told Big 50 that you some kin to that inmate. And she was like, yeah. And so what? She said, well, he gonna be all mine now. He see he can't trust you now. He's shooting out. Wait till you go back in there and find out what's going on. She said, oh, you can have him then. I don't want him. So the nurse tells her, I got him now. There ain't nothing you can do. You didn't give him to me. I took him. She said, well, good. You can visit him. You keep visiting him in prison. She said, oh, I'll be here. She said, no. He ain't going to be here much longer. And she was like, what you mean by that? Oh, you'll see. You'll see what's going on. So the nurse gets in her car. She gets in hers, right? But as soon as Miss Cynthia pulls off, as soon as she pulls off, it's a whole host of cars just flying by. And these are feds. And the nurse, she sees it. And when she tries to turn and hit the corner, a car stops out in front of her and says, hold up. Stop. Stop the engine. They draw down on her. She panics. She grabbed the phone. She tried to make a phone call real quick, but she dropped the phone. She's so nervous. They run up to the car. They snatch the door open. They snatch her out and drag her on the ground. Say, you're under arrest. Put handcuffs on her. Take her away before she could make a call to Big 50. Now all of the feds, there's about 30 or 40 of them, they all in the warden's office in their meeting. Don't nobody on the compound know what's about to happen. The trustees that would normally be outside the gate wasn't even allowed to come out today. It's over. So they coordinate. Right now, as everybody was getting ready to get popped at the facility that Big 50 was, everybody else that was on his payroll at every other prison, all the inmates, all the officers, all the nurses, everybody was going to be arrested at the same time, and his minions on the street were going to be arrested also. And Curtis was in the infirmary. Two federal officers walked in and they asked him what his name was, and they told him to, let me get your ID. And he nervously hands over his ID. He said, what have I done? They said, you've done nothing. You've done nothing. And they said, you know Cynthia? And he looked at him. He don't know what to say. He's nervous. He's like, yeah. They said, you better be thanking her. Can you walk? And he was like, yeah. They said, follow us. So they escorted him out, one in the front, one in the back. They walked down the hallway. And he's like, wait a minute, where am I going? They take him to intake. The warden is waiting down there with him, for him. He shakes his hand. He said, thank you for what you did. And he looks at the warden. He's like, what are you talking about? The phone. That phone is the key to the whole case. Thank you for what you did. So he's like, okay, you're going to be going into federal custody now as a witness. Your time is still going to be running, but you won't be here. You won't be in any state facility. You're going to be under witness protection. Witness protection? What's going on? The two federal officers said, we'll tell you on the way to the house. So he leaves the facility. They got him handcuffed and shackled. They put him in the back of the car. They riding away. And then that's when they started telling him, said, your cousin was undercover. She's an undercover agent. Yeah. He looks at him like, what? She's not really a corrections officer? And they laughed at him like, no, she's been undercover to take down this big drug ring. And he said, big 50. And he was like, the two officers like, yeah, he's done. He ain't big 50 no more. Right now, as we speak, he's getting handcuffs put on him. And he'll be escorted into federal custody, him and everybody else that he's been doing business with. And he said, so I got to testify? Like, all you got to come in there and say is that you got the phone. We know the situation. He said, man, I can't do it. I hope I don't have to do that because they're going to kill me. He said, nah, after this is over, you're going to disappear. They're never going to see the streets again. And the people that he's got on the streets, we had all of them in custody too. It was a clean sweep, thanks to your cousin. And he's looking at him like, I didn't see that coming. That's why she told me to keep my mouth shut. And they looked at him like, yeah, she did her thing. Now at the same time, Cynthia, she was at the house. She was at Curtis's family's house. And she was telling them exactly what had happened. And they're sitting there looking at her like in disbelief and shock. And they said, you did all of this? And she's telling them, yeah, with Curtis's help. And he's going to get the help that he needs now. And Big 50 won't be able to hurt anybody ever again. And they looked at her and they hugged her and they said, are you sure he's going to be okay? Are you sure he's going to be safe? And she told him, yeah, he's going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine. So after they get everybody in custody and they take them in front of the magistrate to find out what they plead and all this, make sure they got lawyers and everything like that, she appears in court one day. Big 50 sees her. Now she's dressed in her clothes, her free world clothes, civilian clothes, and she got that badge on right there on her hip. You know what I'm saying? You know that little federal badge, FBI? She's got that on, and she's looking at him, and he's looking at her, and they're looking at each other, and she's like, how you doing? And he's like, but you? She's like, yeah, I was undercover. I was undercover. And he looked at her, he said, you bitch. And she said, back at you. She said, but you're going to have a lot of time to think about me while you're locked up. He said, you know I'm going to get your cousin. She said, you'll never see him again. Nobody will. He's gone. But he got to testify. She tells him, she said, look, if you go to trial, you're going to get buried. You better give us somebody. And if you give us somebody, you might be able to get out one day. And he looked at her And he was thinking about it. And he said, how will I get in touch with you? Just tell him you need to talk to me. And then I'll send somebody to see you. He said, no, I don't want to talk to anybody but you. Nobody but you. If you got something to say, I'll come see you. But if you don't have anything to say, don't send for me. We're not playing with you. We're going to end everything that you had going on. And if you're not going to help us do it, we're going to bury you under it. Do you understand me? And he looked at him and he smiled. He said, that's what I liked about you. You talk to me the way nobody else has ever talked to me. She said, I'm not afraid of you, Big 50. You need to remember that. You need to get yourself together. So she parted ways with him, told him she wished him the best and hoped that he got it together. She goes on. She calls and checks on her cousin from time to time to make sure he's straight. Big 50 decided not to turn on the Colombians that he was doing business with because he knew that their reach was way more than his. And he ended up with 23 to life in the Fed. Multiple counts of racketeering, multiple counts of money laundering, multiple counts. He had so much time in the Feds that they don't even bother to count it. You know how they give you months and this, that, and the third. They don't say nothing on it. He just says over with. His time, she says, over with. That's what it says. Ain't nothing happening unless he opens his mouth. But if he opens his mouth, he's through. Curtis testified against him about the phone. His cousin stamped it. He got his deal. And they kept him in protective custody until his sentence was up. And then they transferred him to another state all the way on the other side of the country with another identity. And he's living his life. Living his best life. And he's married now, drug-free, doing his thing. Big 50 somewhere in Colorado under the ground. No lights. No nothing. He built this empire that rivaled some of the most notorious gangs in the world. He built this empire on the backs of the people that look like him, that come from similar backgrounds like him. But that didn't matter to him. That didn't matter to him at all. He wanted what he wanted, when he wanted it, and how he wanted it. And he got it. Just like that. The hard way. I wanted to tell you this story because I wanted you to understand something, because, you know, a lot of people have been talking about, you know, what's hot in the news right now. When we talk about different situations, you know, people of color being arrested and put in jail, and like Puffy and Tory Lanez and Larry, you know, and all these different types of things. And individuals, and it's one thing that they have in common, you know. Don't get me wrong, I believe in forgiveness because I asked for it, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that when they do that, if they do that, they're going to get it, but they got to learn to forgive themselves. But one thing I got to make sure that people understand, you got to take account for what you do. It doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't matter how much celebrity status you have. It doesn't matter how much street creds you get. When you live life through a selfish agenda, right, things will happen to you. It don't matter if you're rich. It don't matter if you're running a legitimate business. Puffy was running a legitimate business, right? Look what happened. Larry was running an illegitimate business. Look what happened. Tory Lanez wasn't even committing any crimes with his business. He just felt like he was untouchable. And then lied and slandered, you know what I'm saying, to try to get out of what he was doing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about any of that. What we have to learn to do, is make sure that we look out for each other in the right way, in a way where we're nurturing and caring. That's all I'm trying to say. I hope y'all enjoyed this series. Hit me up in the comment sections and let me know. I'm going to keep them coming. But man, what I do need y'all to do, because I'm right there with almost hitting that 10,000 mark. If I hit that 10,000 mark, then I'll be able to have my Merc line posted on my page. Help me out, y'all. Help me out. I gotta get to that mark before I'm able to do other things. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.